how sure, 100% sure he was about this situation that completely didn't materialize. It sounds like the Big 12, Oklahoma State, and Kansas State are going to the Pac-12. That's done. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football, back at it again. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football and watch plenty of college football content, plenty of pro football content, basically anything related to American football, subscribe to this channel right now. You will not be disappointed. Won't cost you anything. All it's going to cost you is being up to date on everything EA college football, pro, Madden, anything. Like I said, subscribe, hit the like button. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so I want a little bit of vindication here because I have been calling for this for a long time. I am not the only one. Do not get me wrong here. However, I want the credit because I was calling this to happen. I wasn't sure it's going to happen this soon, but this is happening now. The Dan Patrick Show, a source. San Diego State is expected to join the Pac-12. Announcements could be made as early as this week. SDSU, the Aztecs. Boom, we've talked about it for so long. The Pac-12, USC, UCLA both leave. If you look at the map, there's nothing really in Southern California for them to go after. Fresno State's kind of a Central Valley team. San Jose State is a Bay Area team. So the only really entity down there for them to add, I mean, unless you were going to add like a Cal Poly or something like that, was to add SDSU. Now that SDSU market, San Diego joins the Pac-12, fits in pretty nicely with them. Again, there's plenty of teams out there. A lot of Arizona, Colorado, Utah, Washington, Oregon. A lot of those teams have players in the Southern California region. Now, if they go to a player, they can say, hey, we are still going to be playing close to you. Again, San Diego's a little bit farther, but not too much. But again, like I said before, San Diego State, per source, Dan Patrick, confirmed. Let's go. And then we get over here to Nicole Auerbach, and she says, the report about the Pac-12 announcing the addition of SDSU as soon as this week, source close to the situation tells The Athletic that the report is inaccurate. It's been my understanding that the Pac-12 would do its media deal first before any conference expansion. I need an apology. I need to apologize. I can't even do this right. I need to apologize to you guys, okay? I got a little ahead of myself there. Okay, I was really excited. Okay, again, we were talking about this for a while. But this actually makes some sense here. And again, what you want to do, you want to make sure that your deal is ironed out first. However, and again, we don't know here, the deal is not going to be announced for some time. And then we also have the expansion will happen after the deal. But I guarantee you in these situations here, so how can both these people be right? Well, it could be the fact that whatever Dan Patrick, and again, Dan Patrick is very, very involved. If you even see that clip that's attached here, I'm going to make sure I include that in the description here. But if you see that clip, he's even like, yeah, what's going to happen here? Crazy, yeah, look, you're going to head SDSU to the Pac-12, so that's per source. All right, under this new thing, he only spent like 8 or 9 seconds on it, so he really wasn't into it. You could tell that he's like, all right, when can I talk about the big time stuff, pro stuff, things like that. Again, Dan Patrick is a very, very well-respected name in the media market. Not as much as us lowly college football people. The fact that I just said I was part of the media is funny. But Nicole Auerbach, part of The Athletic, came in and says, well, they still have to work out the deal that there's no invite imminent. They would do the deal first, and then they would do expansion. I think that if you're trying to put both of these together, you can see the fact that these conversations are happening right now. And again, I think they're happening with the Big 12. I think the Big 12 has discussed a couple of different things. They've discussed, and again, you heard the report. They were talking about Gonzaga, possibly. You also heard the report that they were talking about, a couple other teams here. You see the fact that SDSU was rumored to the Pac-12 to give them a market down there in Southern California. So to make the both of these make sense, it could be that, again, George Kliavkov has been talking to the networks and like, hey, here's the deal. Here's what we want to do with our current teams. What if we had this team? What if we had that team? What if we had this team? And then basically they could say, oh, that makes a lot of sense. We're going to add SDSU. Let's get the deal done first. That could be what's going on and how Dan Patrick is getting his reports. However, if there's something, they're waiting for something right now that's like signed, sealed, delivered, and put into the envelope, I don't think they have that just yet. They're going to wait for the deal to come out. If you look at San Diego State, and again, I know it's really easy for this year. Remember last year, they were a 12-win team. They were an extremely good team. But the big issue with them, man, is just the fact that they had a bad season so far this year. I mean, 2 touchdowns in 13 seconds against Fresno State is just bad. They had to take a safety, switch him over to quarterback. They're in all types of messes there. However, I do think the fact that you can see that the program has invested into their sports, they're in a market that's not necessarily dominated by anybody. They're far enough south away from LA that they're kind of their own little thing. And they have, like I said, put money into the football program. Checking out new Snapdragon Stadium. Again, you come over here to Snapdragon Stadium on their Wikipedia page. You see here it says the stadium was designed to be expandable to a capacity of 55,000. And again, right now it's 35,000, complete with a plan and renderings for such expansion or more to accommodate a prospective NFL return to San Diego and or future needs of the Aztec team. And again, it all depends on a couple things here. There were a couple people in the comments basically saying, oh, well, San Diego State doesn't sell the stadium now. Whoa, would you do it? First of all, just shut up, okay? Stadium size is very important. That's the reason why a lot of these teams are concentrating on it. I do think that you want to make sure you can hit like 40K seems to be kind of like a broad number to hit. Again, I had a report earlier that Northwestern is looking at a 35K with a really intimate setting. But you see 40K is kind of like a minimum requirement. Allow enough teams. First of all, I mean, think about that. You know, if you're, in the, Colorado, Utah, you're in Arizona, flying to San Diego, the weather is perfect. There's a lot of things looking good there. And there's going to be plenty of available seats for you to sit at. 55,000 will still fit into the Pac-12 with what it has. So around realignment, and again, you could always talk about realignment, but I want to make sure I bring up something because there was a report a little over a year ago from a guy by the name of Dave Wannstedt, the former head coach of the Pitt Panthers, former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and the Fox analyst. He had a report, and again, it's crazy because he said something that definitely did not happen, was done in terms of happening. Let's see that right now. Here we are from RecomRed.com. And we come down here, it says Big 12 realignment. Fox analyst says OSU, Oklahoma State, Kansas State to the Pac-12, not sure about Tech. We come down here to his clip. And again, it's one of those things where you get this. This is in hindsight. Hindsight is 2020, obviously. But you see the fact that how sure, 100% sure he was about this situation that completely didn't materialize. I was in the Fox meetings in Phoenix about a week ago, and we were talking a lot of the Big 10 people were there. It sounds like the Big 12, we all know that Oklahoma and Texas are headed to the SEC, but it sounds like Oklahoma State and Kansas State are going to the Pac-12. That's done. It sounds like West Virginia is going to the ACC, which would make sense with Virginia. Then it sounds like Iowa State and Kansas. There are two schools that will join the Big 10. There are a few schools, TCU and Texas, that no one knows what they're going to do. Also doesn't mention Baylor, so there's a couple weird things there with that. But you see the fact, like he said here, the most important thing here, he says the Kansas State and Oklahoma State to the Pac-12, that's done. There's a lot of reports that happen all over the place. I'm not saying that Dan Patrick and Dave Wannstedt, a former coach and an extremely well-respected analyst and commentator and reporter in the sports world, are going to be the same. However, it's very easy for these people to get these things wrong. And I don't know right now. Nicole Auerbach says no deal imminent. Dan Patrick says it's done as soon as this week. So we don't really know what's going to happen there. So we've got a couple more moving parts here because there's a couple questions from here. So, and again, like I said, I always make sure I preface this that I'm a Boise State fan. I think San Diego State, it's one of those things where when Boise State's rival BYU, who just beat us this weekend, I won't get mad about that, but they were added before the Boise State was to the Big 12. Big reason why. I mean, BYU's got a dang religion behind them, okay? There's fans in all 7 continents of BYU, even in Antarctica, I bet. But if you think about what is important to the Pac-12, Southern California presence, they are an R2 research institution. They're not an AAU university. Neither is Arizona State. But it's one of those things where you're like, they satisfy a lot of needs. And also, the Pac-12 can't really get that needy right now. The Pac-12 and the Big 12's deals kind of precluded, I don't want to say precluded, but just prevented them from kind of pillaging from each other. I know that both of them like to use this as a trash-talking method. Brett Yormark says he wants to expand out west. He's ready for business. George Kliavkov says, we haven't decided if we're shopping there, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. It kind of makes sense that they're going those directions. But you see the fact that one more team is off of the list here. I always go back to the Big 12 because I'm interested to see what they're going to do. And they signed a deal recently that basically said that only if you add Power 5 teams would ESPN add more money. And again, it would add a guaranteed escalator clause. So if you add a Power 5 team, you get 63% more of the deal at least. Fox would, again, negotiate on a per team basis. But like I said, I don't think any Pac-12 teams are on the I don't want to say chopping block, but on the list of teams you can add. I don't think any Big 12 teams on the list of teams you can add. So it's basically G5 or I don't know, something else from there. And you're looking at out west and the options. If San Diego State is gone, they are getting thinner for the Big 12. And you see here from SI.com and the home of Stanford football, it says Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark says Big 12 wants to expand out west. And again, he is making it known that he is targeting schools in Pac-12 territory. The only problem with that is I don't think any of the Pac-12 schools are going to go out there. Ohio State has essentially eliminated that by saying the Big Ten is done with expansion. Big Ten is done with expansion. No UW, no Oregon, no Stanford, no Cal to the Big Ten. So then no Arizona State, no Utah and Colorado to the Big 12. And again, nobody discusses Washington State and Oregon State. We're going to get back to that in a second here. But it looks like the Big 12, if they want to expand out west, it's only going to be group of 5 teams. I know I keep on mentioning my team that's halfway here between Spokane and Provo. I know I keep on mentioning Boise State as an addition, but I'm looking at here and seeing what's going to happen here. Was this conversation from Brett Yormark basically saying we are going to expand out west with Pac-12 teams, or was he trying to expand out west? I do know that San Diego State going to the Pac-12, the Pac-12 is willing to make it work with a Mountain West school, is the Big 12 in order to get that fourth window or get more opportunities out there. We'll see, man, but I do know that, like I said before, it looks like it's leaning towards San Diego State going to the Pac-12, as we've reported before. Again, maybe not 100% signed, sealed, and delivered, but it's leaning that way for sure. So that being said, and again, I know it's probably pretty easy for all the Pac-12 fans to say, oh yeah, well, Southern California, we've been there before. But again, how excited are you to have San Diego State join the team? Anybody else out there, SDSU fans, what does it mean for you guys to join the Pac-12? This means a lot in terms of, doctoral research and this and that. There's a lot of moving parts here. I also want to address one thing. Before I had gotten mad at the UC system, I basically said, oh, the UC system throws all the degrees they didn't want over at the Cal State system. And my good friend Tony Althward let me know why they kind of do that. They wanted to make sure that the UC system, part of the state of California, and the Cal State system, part of the state of California, didn't compete with each other. So that's the reason why doctoral research wasn't necessarily was only limited to the UC systems, with the addition of the Cal State systems having some of those doctoral research programs. It looks like they're trying to address some of that. Like I said, you wouldn't want those two entities to compete with each other in the same market. You're both part of the state of California. But I just want to make sure I address that before I let on. But big news for San Diego State. Again, what are you guys' opinions of this whole situation? Get in the comments right now and let me know. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Get out and vote today. I'm out.